Well, good evening or morning, wherever you are. I decided to do a late night live stream. This is my first public live stream for Septandy. There's a couple minutes left till midnight here in September of 2023. For Septandy 2023, I decided to do a late night stream here because I found yesterday while cleaning out my barn, doing some cleanup and getting some things out to trash, I came across a few more Radio Shack items that I've been looking for. A couple of items I've been looking for quite a while, and one in particular I had forgotten about. In my barn, in the corner where the old workbench was, I had a stereo system set up where I'd listen to music when I'm working in the barn. And so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to switch over to the bench and studio cam real quick. So right here on the bench, you'll see this is a Realistic Modulette 8A. This was my great aunt and uncle's stereo. I remember this from when I was a kid. We used to do Easter morning every year at their house. And I remember they would always have Christmas music playing over this thing on one of the radio stations, probably. There's still some of those classic Christmas songs that I remember from those holidays that were piped over these very speakers. I'm going to get off my face here and just go to the bench only here, so I'll feel a little more comfortable. And I see the audio's still good. We should be good, hopefully, here. So what we have here, like I said, is the Realistic Modulette 8A. AM/FM stereo 8-track receiver. This was not, Radio Shack's best. It's, lower level, inexpensive from my research. But you can see here, I'll do a close-up here, all the particulars here. It's the model number 12-1402A, and this one was made in Taiwan. Radio Shack, a division of Tandy Corporation. So the neat thing about these is this was their, you'll notice there's some extra speaker outputs. This was something they called Quatravox. It was supposed to be quad. For the time, the 1970s, they had quad sound systems. This is not true quad, from what I've been reading. It was a simulated quad. I'm guessing, when I pull this thing apart, I'm going to take a look and see. I'm guessing there was some sort of circuit that just added some ambience, added some reverb of some kind to extend the sound stage. I believe their literature said it was the and make your music sound like a concert hall. So there probably was some sort of reverb that was added in and sent to the rear speakers. But I never used that function. Wasn't sure what it was until I did some research today. So this works, like I said. I'm going to plug this in, and the amazing thing is the reception on this guy is really good. My workbench is in the basement, and it's loud and clear. So the lights don't appear to be working, but as you can hear, I don't know if this is going to be too loud, or if you hear this, I'll know when I check the video later. It's a classical station, so I shouldn't get any YouTube strikes or any, music copyright strikes or anything. So But but the reception down here in the basement is absolutely perfect. So we'll just... Not going to dwell too much on some of this music.
McCarthy in the past has expressed support for funding Ukraine, but has also shared reservations some Republicans have.
That's the NPR station right there.
Punished after he...
So as you can hear, there's really no static. It's really clear, which is it's amazing. I mean, there's no extended antenna. That's an internal antenna, and it's picking up FM, loud and clear down here in the basement. So let's switch over to AM. Let's see what we get here. Love the sound of AM.
Caller in Shakur's killing. Republicans now claim that former White House COVID advisor Fauci.
Unfortunately, most of AM now is just politics, so yeah, I don't listen to it too much.
With Joe LaCava on 18, which it seemed like they got worked out, but then afterwards, when they talked to Cantley about making the putts, there was this ongoing controversy during the day about him not wearing a hat and choosing not to wear a hat.
And yeah, so we have working AM here, which is really awesome. So not great reception on AM, but I'm really shocked that the FM reception is really good down here. So yeah, that's the Modulette 8A. So yeah, it's got a stereo AM FM tuner, as well as stereo 8-track. I do not have any 8-track cassettes anywhere that I can remember. I'll have to do some digging around so I can test this out. But otherwise, the only other input into this thing is a phono input. There's unfortunately no aux input, and I'm not going to plug an iPod and try to drive that into the phono input. It's going to distort it and maybe even damage it. So phono preamps don't like to get anything line level. So I have a couple of turntables. I'll check this out and see if the turntable input works. But I'm gonna definitely take a look for some 8-track tapes. The head looks, everything looks really clean in here, surprisingly. I'm actually going to switch to a little slideshow. It'll show you where I actually found this and the condition that it was in. So let's switch to my slideshow here. That's the corner of the barn. You can see the amount of dust that was on top of this thing, and it cleaned up really nice. And there's the speakers were just kind of hanging out. One was in a box, the other was hanging on the wall. So yeah, I used to listen to music when I was working out in the barn, and that was probably maybe 12-15 years ago, and since then I forgot I had this thing. So it was a nice surprise to find this. So I'll switch back to the bench. And I'm going to show you item number two, which was really cool. I forgot I had this. This is one of those just a auxiliary speaker. Let's see, we got catalog number 840-1227. It's an 8-ohm speaker with the hanging points here. It reminds me of the speakers you would get at the drive-in, for anybody who remembers going to drive-ins. There's not too many around anymore. Yeah, I should plug this into something and test this out at some point, see if I'm sure it still works. But it's just a neat looking piece. I did clean this up. There was just a lot of dust caked on this, and I don't know if you can see it inside there. But there's a little bit of dust on the speaker itself, but it's not too bad. But it cleaned up nicely. I need to look this up to see the year on this, but it's got to be pretty old because it's actually marked Japan. I think the early Radio Shack stuff was made in Japan, and they a lot of times I see the stuff made later in the 70s and then the 80s was Taiwan. So this is really neat. It's a really cool looking piece, decent quality plastic. So I'll have to hang this up somewhere. So last is something I've been looking for, and part of me thought that maybe I dumped it off with one of my electronics binges, but then I kept remembering, no, I remember putting it in a box, but I could not remember where that box ended up. And this Optimus SCT86 stereo cassette tape deck, I found it after I found the stereo receiver in the barn. I was cleaning that workbench off, and there was a box sitting on top of everything right in front of my face, and I picked up the box because I thought it was empty, and I was like, oh, there's something in this. I opened it, and here this thing was staring at me. And you can imagine I was ecstatic because I really been looking. I think this is a really neat, cool looking little tiny cassette deck. I picked this up on a clean out of a church where I grabbed a whole bunch of electronic stuff and took a lot of it to thrift stores and donated it. Some of the stuff, there was some things that I ended up taking to recycling. But I did find some really neat things that I ended up holding on to, and one of which was this Optimus tape deck. This thing still works. I tested it out earlier. Actually, I'm going to hook it up and run it through my my realistic speakers I've got set up here on the bench. Let's unplug the receiver. I'm going to plug this in. And these are actually Radio Shack RCA cables. I don't know, I probably picked these up at some point from a audio job where I was, an installation job where there was all kinds of extra garbage left over. So let's see, we want the output. And what I have is something special for with tomorrow being actually today being Sunday now. It's football day, and being that I'm in the Buffalo area, Buffalo Bills are playing Miami tomorrow, and it's going to be a good game. This tape is from 1993, and this was back in our Super Bowl years. I don't like to talk about those years because, well, they were great years, but we fell short. So, but yeah, I got a song queued up here, which is perfect. This is Oldies 104. It's a classic music station, classic FM station here in Buffalo. I think they're still around. There's got to be still one classic radio station left. But they produced a tape for during those Super Bowl runs, and each song was made for for each game that year. And this one song I've got queued up is the one for Miami. Hopefully there won't be any copyright strikes. I'm just going to play a few seconds of it here. Let's see.
Roger Kelly, yes, he does. Throw it for a touchdown. Beat Miami, yes, he does. Run the Dolphins out of town.
Yeah. So obviously that's a Neil Diamond classic, Cherry Cherry. But it was rewritten to be Kelly Kelly. One thing we like to do, and it's probably the same in a lot of football cities, is we like to parody songs for our sports teams, the Bills and the Sabres. And actually, I've as a audio engineer in the area, I've had the pleasure of working on some of that music. I used to work for a studio in town that used to produce these recordings. I wasn't working on this one because I was still in college at this point. But later on during the Sabres Stanley Cup runs in the 2000s, I worked on some of those recordings, some of that music. Yeah. So this cassette deck still works. Yeah. And it's a cool piece. I'm gonna put this. This is gonna go on display. I might actually put it upstairs, connected to my retro hi-fi setup I have upstairs with I've got a turntable up there and a nice old Onkyo TX80 something stereo receiver. It's beautiful. Picked that up at Goodwill for like $8 or something like that. But that's a great little stereo upstairs. Yeah, so I think I'm gonna hook this up there and dig out the old cassettes. So, but that'll do it for tonight. For my impromptu first live stream. I don't see anybody in the chat, so I'm guessing I don't have any viewers, which is great because I'm gonna watch this back in horror, and I may even take it down, or maybe not. So I don't know if you could see, but these great speakers with the modulette. I wasn't sure that these were even Radio Shack. I'm guessing they are, because you'll notice they are made in Taiwan, Republic of China, which dates it. Yeah, these are definitely the right speakers. The wood grain matches. And they're trash can speakers, but they're cool and retro looking. So, but that'll do it for tonight's live stream. And we'll switch back here so you can see me. And yeah, we'll get all this stuff turned off and displayed somewhere. So anyway, well, I'd say I thank you for joining me, but I don't think I had anybody joining me tonight. But if you like the video, if you see it after the fact, if you like the video, give it a like. And if you're new, click subscribe. And I've got more videos coming up now that I've got this new YouTube setup here set up for myself. Makes it easier for me to just do quick videos. So anyway, thanks for watching the video, and we'll see you soon.